portrait number 2. Got my paper ready. Got my grid laid out with a regular pencil. Give it a sharpener. I'm going to start plotting out my major points on here. Major landmarks, if you will. This is a Polychromos by Faber-Castell in warm gray number 2. All right, I'm just going to start kind of marking where I think things are going to go. If you watched the one of the German Shepherd, you saw how I got his lip in the wrong place and didn't really notice it until I got almost to the end and realized what was so funny looking about his lip. One of the things I do as I'm trying to triangulate where things go is I'll look at these X's or pluses depending on the angle, and I go, okay, if something over here, is it above or below that? And as I'm looking at the lip, it's just slightly below. All right. And the top of the nose is above it. And I find if I work with angled lines to start with, that I'm much happier with the result. So I'm not worried about the nuances of the curves right now. Boy, this boy's got a big tongue. With nothing else around it, it looks even bigger, doesn't it? I'm looking at the center of the nose, and it comes down almost at the outside, well, really at the outside of the tongue. So that would be the center of the nose, which means that lip comes further out. So I'm missing something right in there. So I'm going to leave that for a minute and come back to it. I'll also look at a mark. You know, where is it? Is it halfway? Is it a quarter of the way? This is a little higher, I think. He's got his little trio of license tags here. I'm just going to kind of suggest the space right now. I don't want to define it too closely yet. I don't feel I have all the information there and ready. Get that snoot. This is another one. It's on a nice angle. Which makes the portrayal of depth easier for me anyway. Look, I think I've got that eye just a little low maybe. I'm looking across from here to here, like if I were to have a line there. Would that hit the top of the eye? I think it would. I'm going to raise that up. I think that's a little better. can't see the edge of this ear too well, so I may just have to fake it. Find it just enough so I can lose it later. I think I've got enough down. I'm going to start erasing these longer parts of my grid. I find they are distracting. It gets to a point where they're distractions and get in the way of me seeing or understanding what I'm seeing. Now I'm starting to come back in and refine some of these lines. Mapping out some of the shadows on that tongue. A bit of a claw right here. Another one right there. But I'm really not sure I'm ready to map out those toes exactly. But I come back up here to the mouth. And then the jaw, jowls, the side of the mouth is kind of right here. It's gonna look funny until I get some values in there. Going back and forth on the tablet looking at where things line up, because I still have some of the intersections down, so I can use that to see, okay, where does it seem like that's going? And try putting it there to start with. I may have to adjust it later, but that's all right. I struggle with drawing tags. Sometimes I find it best just to keep lightly suggesting them for as long as possible. I think that's something else that will, his body is at a very extreme angle, pretty much. Not sure how to word that. So without more information in the values, it's really hard to understand what's going on there. I'm trying to look at the color real quick. There's, like the other one, there's not much color. It's got wonderful pink tongue, red tags, and a red collar. So that will be fun to bring out here in a little while. Work on the planes on this paw. Again, not really worrying too much about the details yet. Just want to start nudging it in that direction. The other paw that I tried to draw claws on earlier, it's like, it just wasn't ready for claws yet. But it's ready for defining the planes of those shapes as they interact with each other. I need to sharpen. Missing, what am I missing? There is this line here. Comes up under the chin. And this is a fur shape that I don't really have well defined. Probably because I don't really understand it just yet. This is his mouth, the bottom of that jaw. I'm gonna try and widen this nose. I think I've got it too narrow. I'm gonna need to go lighter on the background near the face, I think, first, because as I start adding lighter values to the face, I don't want to lose this edge too much just yet. And that's good. Just looking at the alignment from the nose to the edge of the face. Face edge may need to come in just a smidge. This is Warm Gray number 2 in Polychromos by Faber-Castell, if you are curious. I'm just lightly laying down some pigment. I don't want this to look like a glow around it. Puppy's face, so I'm gonna bring this out to the edge a little bit. Now I'm gonna start shading around face. What I'm probably going to do, what I think I'm going to do at this point, is make the edge of the face lighter than the background. Just ever so slightly, in hopes that that will make it feel closer, will enhance that dimension. The illusion of dimension, I guess. I'm going to go ahead and put in this highlight here on the eye. One thing I am noticing as I do that, don't quite have that structure noted properly. I had that eye depicted more straight on than it really is. And then above that highlight is very dark. Lighten that line up because it was looking like you were seeing white when you're not, but there is a highlight of the edge of the eyeball right there. This is the Colorless Blender by Prismacolor. I'm just gonna kind of work with those. Bring that in if I can. Alright, let's start bringing those values out bigger and bigger. I'm going to come in here with some white, because now that that tone is covering more of an area, I need to separate this little splash on this pupper's nose. Even though this nose is black, the whole thing, or most of it, is a very dark gray, so that those shadow areas look like shadow areas. Now, start pushing pretty hard in this area. Alright, let's bounce back over here. I'm looking at this area, and just like the nose, there's only a small portion that is really dark. Right here and right here. The rest of it is varying tones. Values? Values, we'll call them values. Modify the lines of the eye here, because, so there's the hair above the lid, or above the eye on the lid, is very light, and then right below that is the shadow cast by the lid. Let's see, highlight. There. On this one too, the majority of the eye itself is quite a bit lighter. But on this one, I'm wondering if when I do the white highlights with a little dab of white acrylic, if perhaps Reinforcing some of these shadows just around the eye, for example, with a bit of black acrylic would be helpful. And it wouldn't be much, it'd just be a little line here, a little line there, and maybe up here, maybe in the nostrils, maybe not. That will have to be a last step. All right, I'm looking over here now. Because this edge, I want to lighten that more so that when I add value to that ear, I don't lose it completely. I don't lose that edge completely. I do have another whisker up here I'm going to go ahead and capture. I don't think I've done it yet. This delightful little whisker right there, which is not going to look like a whisker yet. That's okay. Just kind of want to remind myself that it's there. Trying to capture the edge of that ear, and it's very blurred there for some reason. I don't maybe moved? It's blurred, or maybe the focus isn't there, because this ear tip is very blurred in the photograph as well. There's some little lighter hairs, just some peppering kind of going on in some of these places. Kind of losing those edges. I'm trying to decide if I want to leave them lost or if I want to find them. And I don't know. Find them at some point, because on the back, those edges I want to be lost because it's further away. Around this little eye over here, I've got all this the same value of black. I need to start changing because it's dark in here, it's dark over here. This is dark, but not as dark. So I'm going to come in with my super dark gray, just lighten that up a little. But then I'm going to have to come to the muzzle and make that lighter to differentiate this area from this area, which I can do. Now I think I'm ready to start working on that back. I do. I'm going to come in with short strokes. Come back into some of the ends of the strokes I did earlier and highlight them. Like I see on the pooch's back. And right along here, and I can just scribble that a little more. Closer. Really, the dark values are isolated just to the head, the side of the neck, and then the front legs. There's some under here, but I might keep those lighter and see if that doesn't look nice. I'm not quite sure how to deal with this. There's a whole lot of look like sticks and leaves. I can scribble and then find, you know, shapes in that I want to highlight. I can wait till later. Powdered titanium white soon, and this will be one of the spots I use it on. Because that little blaze is super bright. I also use it on the tongue and up here. Picking out little white spots here and there. There's one under the chin right here too. Maybe it's time to put that in. What I think I'm going to do at this point is get out some of the titanium white and use that to get some of these super white areas whiter. So I've got a fairly big brush. This is a number 6. I'm just gonna brush it on in these areas where I want it really white. Not been able to get a good smooth large area with this, so I generally tend to reserve it for the smaller stuff that does have some texture to it. Let me go ahead and put some down here in the toes, these dusty tootsies. There's kind of this area that starts down here, and see what happens if I use this in a background that has texture to it, like this gravel. Maybe it will work. To be mindful of the shadow under that foot. I don't want to brush it off with my hands because that will leave marks that I don't want at this point. I'll have to experiment with that sometime, where I use my fingers to rub this in and play with what kind of textures that gives me. What does it look like if I carry some of that up into what's already covered in colored pencils? Here I go doing the thing I said I wasn't going to do. Yeah. Also do this tag. Any place else? Maybe up here a little more. Yeah, see now it's getting those streaks in there. And that's what I don't want. Back to the pencils. Since I've started on this foreground, I'm going to come in and just kind of scribble, scumble some texture in this gravelly like. Kind of do this arc right here. There's kind of a toe bean there and a toe bean there, and a fuzz between toe bean there. All right, maybe. Start pulling some detail out of this foot. This in here is fairly light. It's also fairly pink. But before I put that pink down, I want to give it a lighter background. So to come back in maybe and redo some of the shadows, but slightly pink tongue. What I might do is come in with, what is this? This is purple pink. So I think it's going to need that. We've lost some of the contrast, but it's smoothed it out nicely. I think, let's come back in with this white. These two tags, they're probably red, not pink, but I'm gonna go with pink. Same thing here with this purple pink. We'll change it nicely. Just for grins, her eyes are just slightly brown. Just a hint. I think I'll go with this one. Just gonna give her a hint of brown eyes.